The big game this weekend has to be Chelsea versus Man United. Man United have got 3 very difficult games in a row, and after that draw against Liverpool, they probably need a win, and they've also got Mourinho going back to the bridge. It's going to be pretty tasty. We've got Sam from United People's TV and Louis from 100% Chelsea to talk through the expected lineups, and then we're going to talk some tactics as well. Louis, let's get straight into it. What is the expected lineup for Chelsea this weekend?
Well, basically, we've gone for a 3-4-3. That's what we've been using for the past 2 games. Before that, 4-1-4-1, absolutely annihilated by Arsenal. This is the team which started the past 2 games, basically, apart from Pedro. He came in for Willian last game because Willian's mum passed away. Courtois, Luiz, Cahill, Azpilicueta playing as centre-half. Alonso, Kante, Matic, Moses, Hazard, Pedro and Diego Costa up top goal scorer in the league, obviously.
So same as, it went well
Pretty
against
much.
Leicester, you're gonna stick with it. Sam, I imagine you expected pretty much that team, right?
Yeah, well, it's kind of gone wrong for Chelsea in the same way it's gone wrong for United this year. Antonio Conte is struggling to get his identity in this team. That's why they switched formations completely after getting pumped by Arsenal, which is good for us because the players aren't going to be used to playing that. So I think tactically, it's an advantage United going into this game.
Yeah, and that identity starting to see itself in this team. Let's swap you around then. Heading into the Man United team. Now, obviously, we've had to record this before the Fenerbahce game, which might make a few changes if there's injuries and things like that.
It depends.
But the team that played against Liverpool was not the team that we talked about the week before.
Right.
So who knows what he's going for, but this is what you expect him to play.
Well, I didn't expect Ashley Young or Marouane Fellaini to play against Liverpool, so what do I know? But I think Mourinho is going to play pretty much a carbon copy of the same style he played against Liverpool. So back 5, I think is dead cert. Valencia was awesome. That last-ditch tackle against Firmino was fantastic. Centre-back partnership is pretty settled with Daly been playing left-back, but Luke Shaw's now fit, so maybe he'll come back in. And Ander Herrera was our man of the match in that game, Boston midfield, and Pogba is still trying to find his feet, but he'll play in midfield. And it depends whether Fellaini plays or Mata. This is my expected 11, I think Mata back at the bridge. He's been good for us this season. I think it would be unfair not to play him against Chelsea. And Lingard,
Fellaini not impress enough to give his
he's
play.
so limited as a player. He does his job, but he's just limited. And I would much rather see someone creative like Mata. I think away at Anfield, you be a little bit more pragmatic. It's the one game a season that, as a United fan, you can't lose.
Yeah.
Bridge is a bit different. You know, you want to win here, but we've had a bad record at the Bridge. And I think Lingard and Rashford, again, I don't know who's going to play on the wings for us because so much has changed. With Rashford's not a winger. You know, he's a striker, and Ibrahimovic up front. He's been out of form, but in a big game like this, I expect him to start.
Okay. Right, we're going to be talking tactics in a second, but first of all, BetVictor are giving away 100k if you can predict the first goal scorer and the minute that they score it in this game. Sam, who are you going
100k. Eric Bayer, mate, 20th minute, set piece. Doosh.
for? Bullet header, lovely. Louis.
Right, Martial, I don't think he'll be fit, so I'm going to go Diego Costa, 20th minute, bang it.
20th.
Lovely, lovely. I'm going to go for Pogba with a little Pogba, 16th minute.
Early doors, all 3.
Absolutely. The link is in the description if you want to give it a go and get involved. Right, let's talk tactics. Head on over, let's do this.
Come on down.
Right.
So we've now set it up here on the beautiful pitch. We've got freshly mown, and we're going to talk about how you think Chelsea are going to actually play against them for anyone who doesn't know, and how they can hurt Man United. So, what is the game plan of Antonio Conte?
Okay, so Antonio Conte is a sort of his management style is obviously his defensive, Italian way, all that sort of rubbish, you know.
But how do you win
good stuff.
games
And
that
then,
way?
No, hear me out. His other motto is eat grass. So basically, he wants his players to high pressure, constantly moving about. This back 3 will remain solid, but these 2 players, and Alonso and Victor Moses, will be constantly moving up and down the whole time. Now, what I noticed at Leicester was when Hazard was moving forward here and cutting in, you'd have Alonso as a secondary option there because he would be constantly moving. He'd be getting on. However, the big worry for me then there is, even though that's great in terms of high pressure and intensity, it's this guy here, and that's definitely Marcus Rashford. I'm not going to lie to you, Gary Cahill has had a mistake in him this season.
Yeah.
A little bit. What I've really liked, however, with how Chelsea's been playing recently is Azpilicueta as third centre-half. When he was playing as a wing-back, he wouldn't get forward that often. If he did, it would be relatively little support, so it would be, you know, he'd give Hazard a pass, the 1-2, then Hazard will do what he needs to do. In this position, he focuses on what he is the best at, which is defending.
Right. Because he's played everywhere, hasn't he? And there's been this thing with Chelsea fans that they're desperate for him to just get the chance to play right back. But that hasn't happened again for him.
No.
But you're saying those are his best strengths, and actually, although he's playing as a third centre back, the way football is now, it's just a defensive right back, isn't it? Because I think what's really interesting about this Chelsea team, and what's really interesting about, I guess, modern football now, because you've got Valencia at Man United, you've got Milner at Liverpool. These sort of, I don't want to use the phrase defensive wingers, but probably these wingers who aren't a Rashford, aren't just all out and out wingers. They're being turned into these attacking fullbacks. Alonso is an interesting one, but Moses, just to chat about for a second, he's a player who's gone out loan everywhere, hasn't he, for you? And a player who's probably not good enough to be at one of the top teams and play as a striker, probably not good enough to be a right-sided forward. But this evolution of this team, Conte's found the perfect position for him. And he's been brilliant there, isn't he?
Yeah, well, the thing with Victor Moses, we all said it last season. You know, we were saying it on 100% Chelsea especially as well. Victor Moses, pre-season last year, was without a doubt our best player. He was standout, it was amazing. And the good thing about him is he offers that directness, which these other players don't. Because let's be honest, Eden Hazard, Pedro, maybe not so much Diego Costa, they're all very intricate. They like to be very intricate. Victor Moses is like, you know what, I'm just going to run at you. And it scares people because he's so big.
And you haven't got to worry about him working either. That's the other thing. I think that's another thing we're seeing with these big teams now. It's about pressing. It's about that hard work. And finally, I guess with this Chelsea side, what these two guys do, and Alonso's been impressive, isn't he? For a guy who people go, hang on, he was on a loan at Bolton. Hang on, he was at Sunderland as well. He's going to a Chelsea side who were fighting for the top four, and he's looked good in his first couple of games. But what those two do, and Kante and Matic do, is they allow Eden Hazard to just be free, right?
Yeah, that's the whole aim here. I mean, Eden Hazard, the last season, obviously, a lot of pressure on him, didn't deliver. Probably more pressure on him to deliver this season. But the good thing with what Antonio Conte has done is just let him flourish. It's just let him move the ball about, just let him do what he does best. He is basically our number 10 now. He's our creative player because in the middle of the park here, I'll be honest, that he's tried to convert Matic in the 4-1-4-1 into a box-to-box midfielder. It doesn't work. Yeah, Matic was okay against Leicester. He was going up and down. But Kante, without a doubt, standout player. Yeah. Standout player against Leicester. Where Matty he would go there, and then Matic would sort of just sit in behind him. And
so Matic is that anchor. A bit like last year you had Drinkwater and Kante.
Exactly.
Kante is allowed to do what he does best. And actually with this four in midfield, because you allow Eden Hazard to do what he wants to do, and also he'll be fresher for that, but you've got four guys there who, like you say, eat grass and do the job. Kante does the job of two players. And so that's interesting that Chelsea, probably for the first time in a long time, are fitting in a lot more defensive players than they are attacking players. Let's move on to the United side.
Yeah.
Again, in centre midfield, I think that's an interesting spot for you guys. What were you impressed about in the Liverpool game in your midfield? I think Herrera is probably the one I want you to talk about. It's superb.
I mean, against Liverpool going into that, I was expecting our midfield to get completely and utterly controlled. But it was the complete opposite. We avoided that, like this gegenpress, and everyone's been yapping about and how Jurgen Klopp is the god. And gegenpress, but we completely made it defunct by playing direct. All you got to do is go over the midfield and they can't press you. And Ibrahimovic was playing poor, Rashford was out of form, but that stopped this midfield intense press. You know, obviously they didn't have Wijnaldum and didn't have Lallana as well, so they didn't have their best players, but still Herrera I saw captain material there from a player who the fans have always loved, but somebody on a big occasion like Anfield, he took the game by the scruff of its neck, and he's going to have to do that against Kante.
Exactly. How are these two going to deal with?
Because technically, this is basically what's been happening. Our best performance this season was Leicester 4-1, and Herrera sat there in a deep role, screened in front of the back four, which allowed Pogba. It actually switched, so Pogba was actually on the left-hand side, and it allowed him to move further up the pitch, and that's effectively what Herrera is going to have to be, a disciplined midfield role. Whereas he seems to like that. He seems to thrive on it, and that's how technically you should get the best out of Pogba, because he is learning. What he's basically had is Pogba at Juventus has never been asked to do much defensive work. Mourinho is not going to be that manager for him. He's trying to teach him how to be a true box-to-box midfielder, which means you have to be positioned in the right thing, in the right area in defence, but still have the energy to break forward. So I think Pogba's struggling with that.
What's going to be different this time? Because Pogba's playing at the top of those three, but this time you've got him here. Why do you think he'll do that?
Because why matter? I think I could understand Mourinho being pragmatic at Anfield because it's United's hardest game of the season. Stamford Bridge is not much easier, but this is a game where
Do you need to be a little bit more adventurous in this game because you need to win it?
I think we need to be more adventurous, but the problem is that United fans looked at the fixtures before the season. They saw Anfield away was the first thing they were looking for. Mourinho, what do you think the first game he was looking for? Stamford Bridge. Yeah. So this is his Anfield as far as the game he cannot lose goes. So maybe that won't be Juan Mata. Maybe that will be Fellaini, and he's going to be dropped there, and Pogba will be a little bit up. But as what I want to see is United be a little bit more expansive. And especially, I'm looking at Gary Cahill and I'm laughing because he has been awful this season. He's got Rashford, who is, I'm not sure there's anybody better in this team for beating somebody one-on-one. So if Rashford can take him out wide and drag him, look at the space that Manta's going to have to drag through there. And if he doesn't and David Luiz comes over, then the space is going to... It's because you're playing 3 at the back, it's just so risky.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Risky.
I agree.
And I guess so he becomes crucial in defending that. Exactly. But then the counter to that is you've got Valencia bombing on as well.
This is exactly the problem I was saying. I think the big thing when I had the conversation with people saying, "I know you played really well past 2 games." Let's be honest, Hull was 1, and Leicester, despite being the reigning champions, have not been up to it in the league this season. They've been doing it in the Champions League, but not doing it domestically. Against the 2 big teams we played, against Liverpool and against Arsenal, we've been completely and utterly controlled.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if you look at these players that were playing, Kante was playing that game, Matic, he turned up, he kind of turned up against Leicester, he put in some tackles, he did okay, but...
You're not sure about him, it sounds like.
I'm not sure about Matic. If I'm honest, I'm not particularly sure about a lot of players in this team. There's a few players here I'm going, I wouldn't, if I was... the manager, I wouldn't want them in my team. However, you've got to work with what you have.
Yeah.
And this is probably the team which has been playing. It's won back-to-back games. You're not going to drop them. You're not going to drop those players. You're going to want to start them. The thing about this game is what I feel is the likes of Eden Hazard. You can't just have him have to worry about all the creativity. Yes, Pedro can create stuff, but he's not the sort of player which I could go straight away. Pedro's definitely going to do something special. He has those on and off days. He could have one day where he's absolutely amazing. He was amazing against Newcastle last year and West Brom. The rest of the season when he was playing, fairly average, nothing special. That's what worries me. I think, like you're saying, the counter is Valencia and Alonso. The biggest thing for me is Victor Moses versus Daley Blind. I think Victor Moses can control Daley Blind. I think he can get... I think, don't get me wrong, Daley Blind...
What's happened to Luke Shaw?
Luke Shaw, what Daley Blind's just been... Luke Shaw got injured against Watford. He's actually fit again now. He's a Chelsea fan as a kid, playing under Mourinho. Maybe it's a perfect game for him, but Daley Blind is just so good at controlling the game. It's just unreal. I've told you, he's one of the most intelligent footballers in the Premier League. No. Absolutely stand by that. But what I want to ask you, Louis, is what is different than the team that got spanked by Liverpool and spanked by Arsenal? Because yes, you've changed the formation, but you have 4 at the back against those 2. And now you're playing 3 at the back, so surely you're going to be even more open than you were in those 2 games.
There's 2 ways of looking at that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was saying, it's pivotal players, Alonso and Moses. They've got to realise going against Hull and Leicester, yes, they could be more attacking, yes, they could go forward more. They've got to know that basically what we're going to be playing against Man United is that. We're going to be playing 5 at the back. You'll be having Matic drop deep, maybe Kante drop a little bit deeper as well, but he'll be that guy who gets the ball, distributes it to Pedro, Diego Costa, Hazard, whoever. Because we're not going to be playing like that. We're going to be playing like that. We're going to be so far back into our own half. And we've got to realise that we're not going to go into this game going to control it.
One thing you might do as well is Alonso, who is the more defensive of the 2 wing-backs, is he might be here so that you can trouble up on these 2. And he can stay. Like, get there.
He can
stay there because he's the more attacking one, and you're just on a bit of an angle with a back 4.
You've got to remember as well
through the centre, because these 2 are the dodgy ones, aren't they? These 2 are
He's not a defender.
He's not.
He's a terrible defender. Daley Blind, by the way, I wouldn't be worried about him overlapping that much, because if he does play, he's not going to be bombing past Moses. He'll be finding the passes for Lingard and stuff. This is your man who's going to make all the trouble.
Well, there you go. That proves my point, then, doesn't it? Because Moses will be able to cheat. Yeah. And Alonso will have to be able to...
So again, that depends on who... If Mourinho is coming with a little bit of an expansive mind thought, he will start Shaw there. And then you've got the same threat on both wings instead of, Daley Blind's not going to overlap, is he?
Let's get on to who is going to be the key player for Chelsea, first of all. Home team first. Who's the main guy for you if you're going to win this game?
For me, it's got to be N'Golo Kante. The way he performed against Leicester, the way he broke up the play and distributed, that's going to be so vital for us. We have to... If we own the middle of the park... I don't think we'll have any problems whatsoever.
And I guess in terms of getting at Herrera and Pogba as well, not letting Pogba play. Yeah. He might not be in the best form, but he's a bloody good player. Yeah. You've got a guy and go stride for stride with him.
Exactly.
What about a Man United player that you're a little bit nervous about?
I've already said Marcus Rashford, but it's just, you see just a name and you can't help but be worried.
And his name is.
And his name is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan. He's very good. So David Luiz, obviously, he's not a centre-back. He's not. I mean, you said it when we were talking in our preview. No Brazilian boy is born goes, I want to be a defender. No one does that.
David Luiz, the one thing you would say, I don't think he'll get bullied,
No,
but he might get very easily outsmarted by Ibrahimovic in this.
He will.
It doesn't take a massively intelligent footballer to outsmart David Luiz. And Ibrahimovic has played with him. He knows his game inside out. So he's going to know his weaknesses and his flaws, which he can exploit.
No chance of Terry playing this then?
See, that was the big topic that everyone was talking about. Because obviously Terry was fit, everyone was going, oh my God.
Because look, I mean, right, look at it now, before, after. Doesn't that look so much better?
Do you know what will make it look even better? David Luiz, John Terry.
Right.
I just...
But he won't do it.
He won't do it. He won't do it. I'll put Gary Cahill. Let's hypothetically, if we're talking about it like this, Terry versus Ibrahimovic is a much stronger matchup. But like I was saying, if you're going to be sitting deep with David Luiz at the centre of that defence, you're going to be sitting even deeper with John Terry. All the players here are fit. If you did a comparison of this Juventus team, which Conte managed, so Kurt Zouma goes in there. If you look at similar players,
What, because he wants beasts?
he wants beasts. You want Kurt Zouma would be Chiellini. Chiellini's the beast, just out tackles everybody, just quick, strong, gets the ball. David Luiz, Bonucci, can tackle, can do what you need, passes the ball, goes forward, distributes it from the back. John Terry's your Barzagli. Barzagli he's not the quickest of players, but he's smart defensively. He knows what he's doing. He's great at positioning. If you were going to do a comparison for that Juventus team versus this Chelsea team, in my opinion, that would be the back three. If you were going to do a like-for-like comparison.
And then when it comes to Man United, this is a pressure game, isn't it? Does it feel like? Are you feeling that, Sam?
Yeah, of course.
You feel that pressure?
Can you feel it? Yes, I can feel it. Don't tell me about it. I can feel it.
Who is the key man for you guys?
Eric Bailly. Against Liverpool, Eric Bailly, I think, has got a red card on him this season because he's a defender. A bit like Diego Costa plays on the edge as a striker, Bailly plays on the edge as a defender. He lunges in a lot, but his timing's excellent. And against Liverpool, I expected him to be... I was nervous that he could make a mistake. He didn't make any mistakes at all. He just looks solid. And Diego Costa is, for me, the heart piece of this Chelsea side going forward.
So in terms of a player that you're worried about in the Chelsea team,
it's definitely Diego Costa because
scorer in the league.
as I said, top scorer in the league. And I'm looking at this team and no Hazard sometimes, no Pedro, no Moses definitely not. But he's a right back now instead of a right winger. But if we can shut Costa down, and I think with Costa he gets in defenders' heads. There's no way he's getting in Eric Bailly's head. I think we shut this Chelsea team down. I'm not sure what your plan be if Costa doesn't have a good game. Yeah, just as much as Costa could get in Bailly's head, Bailly could easily get in Costa's head.
It's true.
And just push him.
One final thing that Sam said there is we haven't really spoken about in Hazard because I think there is a huge reliance on him to create because ultimately he's a wing back, so he's not playing as a winger. So Moses defensive, Kante overall defensive, Matic defensive, left back or left wing back, whatever you want to call him. You're saying he's a bulldozer. You're saying he's
Meh.
hit or miss.
Yeah.
So he is so important. And the whole team is geared up for two players, in my opinion. Well, it's to safeguard the dodgy back three, but it's for Kante to give him so much room to go and just work and work and work. Yeah. And then for him to do what he does best.
That's the big thing.
No one scored, since his debut, August 2012, no one scored more goals than him in midfield.
Yeah.
And generally that's where he has been kind of running. And now he's up front, so he's always got to concentrate on his scoring goals. He's got a huge part to play, hasn't he?
He has, but he's been good so far this season. There's been a couple of moments where he's been fantastic. He scored last week. He looked great. He looked strong. He looked back to his best, and he looked like a threat. But there's still, I don't know whether it's just me, but I'm not fully convinced yet. Until if he had that form he had 2 years ago when we won the league, the year before when he was just destroying anybody in his path, then I would be confident. But I'm not confident going into this game at all because I just don't feel that this team's ready yet.
As a final point, before we had done this tactics video, I'm thinking Stamford Bridge away. It's going to be a tough game. But after I'm looking at this Chelsea side, I see such a severe lack of goals in terms of your goals are focused in one area. But with United, I see danger all over the pitch. And I haven't even talked about Mkhitaryan. I won't talk about Rooney.
There's
No,
a lot of names on that.
There's a
bench.
lot of, and to be fair, I'm more scared of Chelsea's bench than I am of Chelsea's starting 11, which is a bit strange. But I think this is going to be not a game for the blockbusters. It's not going to be a game for the neutral. This is going to be two stalemate teams that do that, and I think it's going to be one goal either way. Obviously, I hope it's for United.
Right, so that's what we think. Let us know what you think. And also, if you want to see any of other preview stuff from Man United, then head over to United People's TV. If you want to hear preview stuff on, or see it as well, you can see it as well as hearing it. On Chelsea, then 100% Chelsea. Head over to Louis' channel. Let us know what you think about the strengths and the weaknesses of these two teams. Who's going to win? Who's going to score that first goal? If you want to take part in that 100k giveaway from BetVictor, then the link is in the description. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like, but most importantly, subscribe to Ball Street.